This is That Comic Smell podcast, featuring your hosts,
David Robertson,
Fernando Pons,
Giuseppe Lambertino,
Mike Sadaka,
and Tom Stewart.
I have to get up half the time. Bumper issue tonight, boys, eh? Bumper issue! I brought some mince pies and leftover stuff that it's not for the kids. Well, some of it's meant to be for the kids, but we'll have it.
I know.
Can't be having my kids' teeth falling out at too young an age. Mine are already knackered, so it doesn't really matter.
This is for Giuseppe. You were after Italian comics for reading your kids. So I found this and
Is this the one that you had?
I knew I had it somewhere. And I went
1800 lira.
yeah, you can have that and read it to them if you want.
Oh, thank you. Look at that.
If you're
A
still,
new universe one.
yeah, New Universe.
Marvel New Universe.
That was the period when I'd actually moved. I had to move to Italy then,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I lived in Italy between 86 and 90, and
Wow.
That was DP7. That was
and
meant
to think
be
that this was
the best series of
1989.
the whole lot.
Really?
Because they were
Star
saying,
Brand?
no, they were saying that
Really?
I've never read that, but they
I
were
was
saying
like-
that DP7 was meant to be even
I don't think
better.
I've read DP7.
Oh, I always like the Star Brand.
I had
not-
Star Brand and
Oh, yeah.
Merc and
Yeah. Spitfire. People used to go about Spitfire as well. Spitfire and the troubleshooters. The other big red robot or something.
Remember that? With a night mask.
Greetings. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
How are you?
Yeah.
Not too bad. Happy New Year.
Yeah, but
is that
Happy
stuffed
New Year.
bird or
Possibly.
carrot
Sure there are
cake
some
or
birds
Christmas
hiding in
cake?
here. I was just saying the best ever political graphic novel, and I forgot to bring it in. It's hiding under my bed.
right.
The story behind it is I spotted it in Asda, and I asked my mum to buy me it. I was quite young and a fan of a certain programme. She bought me it. Hours after me looking through it, she looked at it and saw there was lots of nudity, swearing and violence, and she took it from me and hid it. I found it, being a kid, and hid it under my bed, and never brought up the subject again, and it was none other than the Spitting Image graphic novel. Absolutely fantastic. And I will have to bring it in now that I've mentioned it.
You'll have to.
But I brought in other things that are a combination of. Oh, do you have any of that chocolate tea?
Yes, I do indeed.
Since this is a.
I'll sit here. Can I sit here? Will you please sit here?
No, on you go.
Right. Is that just boiled?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Has everyone got what they need? 'Cause
Here you are, 2017.
I know. Here we go.
yeah, look,
Off.
we're definitely off.
Did you have a good Christmas?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
You obviously look like you have a single chicken drumstick extra.
Did you get the?
Star Wars.
a little,
Yeah.
a little seed for a little man.
I saw it and I was tempted again. As I said, I thought I'm going to buy that. I was like, I had it in my hands. I was like,
Is that
You're
the thing
gonna
from
get
TK
I
Maxx?
was thinking
Yeah.
I'm going to get this, and I was still thinking you just don't need it. You've got everything in it. And I was like stood there. I thought, put it back. I'll just put it back. You know.
One ball, yeah.
I thought it was
Nice
one of the.
It must have
I
been marked.
misunderstood. I thought you were on about one of these big.
Well,
oversized.
it's thick. It's
Right.
got a lot of issues in it. It's like 50 issues or something, isn't it?
I found out why it must have been marked down though.
Oh, it's one of the remainder.
Remainder
Yeah.
Look
marks.
at the black.
Yeah. That's what they do. I got lots of
What is
them.
that, Mark?
Yeah, I remember you saying.
There's
Just
normally
like
a return.
Where they go to these kind of, not second-hand bookshops, but remainder bookshops, where they've gone through the first selling phase.
That's what I used to
sell
work.
them to cheaper prices.
And even we had our own discount last of the run store, and I got a £78 book for £3. Hardback, recent published, that size, that width, all about the birds of South Africa.
Right.
Specialist stuff. Like
No,
a
we
specialist
sold the volume. The book itself was specialist, but we
A
sold
lot of them
all types of
academic,
books.
That's why they are
Yeah.
very.
But we sold
They
all
know.
types of books, including comics.
Where was this?
Where I used to work, like bargain bookstores in London.
Oh, right, okay.
It's one of the reasons why it has so many books.
Not a bad thing.
No,
I think no.
Unless you don't have the room.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We've now resorted to sticking some up in the loft area, the ones that won't fit out, because we've just bought so many like new ones and whatnot. It's been like, right, take a purge, put the ones away, put the ones
old
that
ones,
Charlie
yeah,
showed
yeah.
me. There's a couple under the bed, you know, stuff like that.
Yep.
God, it's good. Blue ribbon. Is it blue ribbon? No, I've just had one, thank you. No.
Anyone
No,
remember
you can't
5,
look
4,
at
3, 2, 1? Not the game show, but that was 3, 2, 1. But the biscuit, yeah. I miss them. Don't know where you can
Do
get
you not
them.
make them?
I
I
don't
just
think
remember
so.
the advert, it was very memorable.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Crunch.
Tick, 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 tick.
And that's it, you won't get it out of your head now. If you've seen it before.
I sing it all the time as a kid as well.
What, 5, 4, 3, 2,
It's
1?
the easiest lyrics to learn in the world.
Oh, but I wouldn't have thought it would have still been
And
about.
educational.
My mum and dad gave me a music education.
Oh,
Big time.
oh, that's good.
Yeah. We used to listen to old. My music goes right all the way back to like 50s rock and roll and the Heartbeat soundtracks and everything like that. Because the Heartbeat soundtracks were all the 60s and 70s stuff all put together on one CD and everything. And
Nice.
so
That's good.
everything. Yeah.
Good.
Plethora all stuck in this noggin.
Right. Politics. Social issues in comics. Is that a topic that we see nowadays? There's plenty of stuff or no? Actually, there is.
Yeah.
Always. But yeah. So yeah, politics in comics. Because I thought, well, this year we had past year we had a quite tumultuous political year with Brexit and it's still going on here in Britain and with the general elections in United States and Trump winning the elections. So quite controversially, yeah. So yeah, politics is there. It's important. It's ruling our lives, whether we want to or not. And so I thought, well, it could be a quite interesting topic to talk about. You can go from the most perhaps obvious comics or the known ones like Persepolis. We're talking about here Iranian girl, woman, growing in Iran, talking about a little bit of history prior to her life and all the different political changes that affected her country and how affected her life and the life of her family as well. This is a must read for anyone. Persepolis, I think it's fantastic.
Have you read that?
I've only read the first half.
Right.
Because it's split into two halves. So I
Very
only read
good,
the first
yeah.
half.
Very, very good. Then I thought also V for Vendetta,
Classic.
a classic certainly here in the UK and in the American market as well, but certainly in Britain it's a must. It's a classic written by Alan Moore and artist by Dave Lloyd, and this is certainly a critique to the Thatcher government at that time,
Well,
and certainly written
any
down.
government.
Yeah, but especially the Thatcher government, because that was the time that I was written.
Yeah.
And if you really remember the context of that time, then it resonates even more on you, that story. But yeah, in any government as well. We saw the saw the mascot Guy Fawkes, the character, reappearing in the recent years.
Yeah, that
movement
mask
Occupy,
now is kind of
and a lot
unfortunate,
of protests are using this as a symbol for it.
which
and
I
it has
find
become-
slightly annoying now that it's kind of a broad kind
Everyone.
of brush. Oh, you're any kind of rebel, or get the V for Vendetta mask on. It's like,
Well, a lot of people don't even know there's
Exactly.
the V from Vendetta mask.
Yeah.
Only the comic fans know it's the
Yeah.
V from Vendetta mask.
yeah.
But yeah, that's another example of it.
It still catches me by surprise sometimes, when
Yeah.
when you see this on a news report or something,
Yeah.
and I think, what's happened? It's like
Yeah.
What's that? Is
You've
that a new
woken
com?
up in the comic.
It's a
You're
comic
in-
convention or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And then, oh no, there's people protesting. Or,
it's like you've woken up in the future, but it's in the comic.
That was that 4chan and Anonymous and everything that made
Yeah.
that happen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
exactly.
On their front, it worked because a lot of them were V for Vendetta fans, and that was the point. Was that they were using that as
And
that
good for
kind
them.
of-
They use it as a symbol, a modern symbol of.
but it's been taken.
It's
completely
been
out of
taken, but now it's been
context.
taken perhaps now even beyond that. But never mind. Never to say. I think it's a good coffee novel to read.
Oh yeah.
Still nowadays, and yeah,
I like the fact that one of the main plot lines is that a false flag has been perpetrated by the government.
Yeah.
And if only more people would realise how closer to truth that is
Exactly.
in real life
Yeah.
than it just being something that's portrayed in a comic.
yeah, exactly.
We'd all be in a much better place because people would be asking serious questions.
exactly.
But
But
it's a
unfortunately,
great book. Great
oh,
book.
it's fantastic. Unfortunately, situation is people is not asking the questions and is not giving the importance to politics that should be. But
But that is even portrayed in there.
Yeah.
How the media says something and everyone goes, oh, all right.
all right, yeah, exactly, and kind of,
Yeah,
and
totally.
it shouldn't be. You should ask questions, not leave it to the press, not leave it to any government to do the stuff for you. You should be the one really to move that forward.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that. Then I thought of this is a comic series, perhaps not as well known as Before Vendetta. It's Ex Machina by Brian K. Vaughan, who did
Oh, yeah.
Why the Last Man.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about this is an interesting portrayal because this is science fiction. We have a guy who has a kind of a jetpack. That's the only thing he has, a jetpack. And he doesn't have superpowers, but he becomes a hero. He manages to save the second Twin Tower being destroyed.
Ah, so it's set then. Right.
And then later, in this alternative reality, he becomes mayor of New York City.
Major.
The mayor, yeah.
Oh, the mayor.
The mayor of New York City. So, in the series, during the comic series, there is flashbacks towards his origin as a hero, and also you go through what he has to do just now as a mayor, and also as a hero. There are social issues going on. There's class issues, racism, people abusing the powers. Being a high position civil servant. There's many things going on, and it shows you that if you were to become someone like a governor or a mayor or someone in a social position, it's not as simple. It's not as black and white. You always have to take a decision, and that decision is not going to please everyone.
Yeah.
So it shows that as well there. So it's quite interesting. So it's not just a critique, but also, well, the people who sometimes are in the government, not all of them are bad.
Yeah.
They're trying their best, and unfortunately, their best is not going to please everyone. And even if you're trying to please as many people as you can, there's always going to people who's going to be unhappy. So there is that as well going on. But it's a big series. It's about 40 or nearly 50 issues. I can't remember.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it's a
There's
long
most of it set now, and the
And there is-
backstory is just kind of.
There's flashbacks
touch the ball.
constantly.
Right.
So in breaking up, so it's quite good from that point of view. So that's quite interesting. That is
So it's 50 or so issues and then it stops.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he likes doing that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Brian
yeah.
K. Vaughan. He's always got some.
He's always got an end plan.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah,
Why
well,
the
that's
last
not-
man?
Saga.
Oh, right, yes, I
So yeah, it's
Why
quite
the
good. So it's a
last
kind
man?
of, you know, there's a 50 odd issues or so, and then that's it. It's finished. And
Did you collect it all?
yeah, I have all of it.
Wow.
I got so many issues, and the last of the collection in trades.
Mhm.
Uh,
And it was good, yeah.
yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Then I thought also, I haven't brought that, DMC by Brian Wood, which is another one that I recommend. That's published by DC via Vertigo, whereas the United States of America, some of the part of the states have split. There is a sort of a civil war happening, and DMC mainly covers the story, amongst other stories, but the story of this reporter who is left in the DMZ zone, or demilitarized zone, and he's abandoned, essentially there, and he has to, you know, at the beginning, okay, I'm gonna have to, you know, do some journalism here. I'm gonna try to survive, and then as the comic, as you read and as you go through the issues, you start to realize, wait a second, there's no goods here, there's no bad guys, good guys. This is just a complete mess. This is what a war is, and a civil war is. What the survivors in the area need to do in order to survive and keep going. You find bands of political people who try to take advantage of the situation. You find military, you find corrupted people, you find all kind of things going on there. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So that I recommend it as well. In the superheroes, these are not so obvious perhaps, but if you go into the Civil War, Marvel Civil War, which is talking about a disagreement in a certain way of Captain America and Iron Man, of whether every single superhero, every single person have powers or abilities should be registered or not. So here we are dealing.
And how did they stand? Just so that I know.
So you have Captain America who believes in the freedom.
So he said, no, they shouldn't be registered.
And Tony Stark and Iron Man, he believes that everyone should be registered.
He's
And they have
he's
their
a modern technologist, isn't he?
and both of them they have their points, but if you read beyond that, there is more to it. If you look into whether we should all or not register, or whether we should have a national identity card, or whether or
It's a lot
not
to do with sort of
privacy and personal liberties,
policies,
is whether you are giving away this privacy and personal rights for the good of the state and the nation.
Well, that's
how
the line, isn't it?
that's
But that's the line that's always trotted out, isn't it?
exactly. But that's reflecting the Marvel universe. And I thought, well, there is politics there as well. If you leave me with the lines, and that's it's a different take to it.
Yeah.
But it's not as obvious perhaps as the other ones, but it is.
I think it started out when the Hulk got into trouble, didn't he? Smashed up some neighbourhoods and people perished.
It started. Speedball and other young superheroes. They were doing sort of a reality TV program, and they came across a supervillain who explodes, and accidentally many civilians die. A part of that, superheroes die. 130 odd people dying.
School bus full
Yeah,
of kids,
school bus,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, but
So
when they're
then-
smashing buildings up, saving people, collateral dies probably, don't they?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's,
But
that's
what-
what they're covering, isn't it?
Yes.
But that is what you cover in there,
Right.
and then you go back and in this comic, you remember, well, what has been fighting, all this fighting, and it's been
They
happening.
say that, innit? Don't they?
Yeah.
At one point, it's like, think of all the many places we've levelled, we've never actually saved anybody, we've just caused more damage
Yeah.
than we've. And that's Tony Stark's
Innit?
point,
Right.
and that's
Right.
that's how it gets into it.
Echoes in films.
Yeah, and then the film take it from there. Yeah.
That's always the difference as well. Where there's obviously. Well, it's relating to like registering real people, I mean, we're talking about it again now. Registering Muslims and all that. But it's always a bit crude when it's the superheroes because, they literally will walk around and. I mean, they are a danger to society,
exactly.
I feel like it will just kill millions of people.
Yeah.
So it's always a bit. I don't know, because they do it with the X-Men as well, of course.
Yeah.
They're going to get registered as well, and they don't want to. And I remember Magneto was like, he's not having it because he's been through all that.
Yeah, he's been through the concentration camps.
Yeah.
But I think talking about X-Men, that was another one. I haven't brought the comic, but it was God Loves, Man Kills, the graphic novel. That is a big one.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about here is, I remember one of the pages when the senator goes, and you call that a man? And he's pointed, I think he's pointed to Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
And that thing has the same rights, and we're talking about here of, xenophobia, racism, which, because you are different, because you have a different color or whatever,
Not only was he a mutant, but he was also black.
Well, it's all
bluish.
Blue, black,
yeah. So you're looking. So that's the conversation I was having to Tommy. Says when you're looking at those comics that they were made in the 70s and in the 80s by Marvel and DC, we're talking about 30 odd years ago. But nowadays, you don't see superhero comics that resonates so much, and they talk about these topics.
Because now, I think there's a reason for that. Back then, when they were always on the verge of collapsing and trying to scrape sales here and there, they had more freedom. They weren't the big giants that they are now. Whereas now, they kind of...
Well, yes
they
and
can't
no.
be too...
The difference now
they can't
is...
stray too much, and they probably can't get involved too much.
Yes and no, because we have to remember, at that time, Marvel and DC sold 10 times more comics than they do now.
I thought they were always on the verge of going under, weren't they?
That came afterward when they couldn't make up the sales that a lot of collectors made. It turned out that they were making 6 times as many comics as they should, because there was only a sixth of the people were genuine comic readers, and it turned out that a lot of the others
there's been many up and downs.
Many folks were collectors.
Yeah. There's been many up and downs, but I think now, especially I think with the main two, with Marvel and DC, they are owned by big corporations.
Exactly, yeah.
DC has been owned by Warner Brothers for like many years.
Yeah.
And now Disney owns Marvel. So
the hands are tied.
Sure, yeah.
Hands are tied the way they do it.
Unless
Nowadays, essentially what they're doing in the
portray.
vast majority of the series, the modern ones that they're doing, is try to make something where can produce a film or just to do a rehash of the origin story because they're gonna make a film or a film is about to appear.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
Or now, I've not read it. Isn't Miss Marvel like a Muslim character?
Yeah.
So maybe they'll still
because
touch on things, but they're trying to be like positive characters.
Yeah. They're doing that. I mean, they're doing Miss Marvel which is a Muslim girl, and then I think in a couple of months it's gonna be Miss America, which is a Latino. It's a Latino girl. It's gonna be. So it's but. We were saying, and we were having a conversation just before you were coming. Pardon me. Is to which point, if you bring in this, is a token, or to which point actually this is the main thing? Is it not better perhaps do a good story where these characters are in, or just concentrate and say no, this is Miss America. She is Muslim. She's a girl.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Exactly. I personally think it should be the story.
Well, and what about the depth of it?
Not just
I understand it's important, but I mean, as I was saying to Tom, I said, if you are to a certain level of culture and you live your life, or even if you are young but you have exposed to a certain level of culture, whether it's a she or a he, whether it's gay or lesbian, whether it's black or white, that shouldn't be news. That shouldn't be important. What is important is the story. What is important is whether you are reflecting or whether you like the story or not. Well, no, the artists and the writers are doing their job to the best capacity, and I don't think they are in these cases.
You don't think they are?
No.
What, in the case
No, because
of, like, Ms. Marvel?
It's just all a bit.
in the case like when they are by
DC.
Marvel or DC, when you work independently, when you go into a place like Image or perhaps an independent comic, I think the artists and that are doing, because there's no restrictions. But I think, I don't know, it just seems very manufactured product to me.
Yeah.
But then it's going to be, isn't it? Because when it's so overwhelmingly the other way all the time, any new character that isn't, a white person will stand out.
Yeah.
And then you'll go, that's a token. But I mean, which other way were you going to do it? If there's none, if it's all white, if it's 99% white.
I understand,
not sure.
but
I think
change
maybe
it for the sake of changing it.
creating something new, perhaps. Adding to the
But it's
library.
Marvel Comics, man. They don't create something new.
Well, that's the thing. But that's
Maybe that's
but
where
that's
the problem
my
is.
point of it. I was saying,
Rather
with
than-
Marvel and DC, it's gonna be more difficult for them to portray that.
Yes.
Even if Marvel is owned by Disney,
Yeah,
and they want to
trying
be,
to kind of
you know-
bottleneck something into a pre-established character, whereas something
That's
new,
okay,
you have
isn't
the
it?
freedom
I
of.
think that's all right.
It is, but if that's
You know,
your
like
own-
when you go and see a Fantastic Four movie, and then like Alicia's a black character, and you go, oh, they've changed that, and then you could go, oh, that's just shoehorning in, and that's PC. But the fact is, there was nobody else in the entire movie. They're all white, so they've actually had to stick somebody in. I don't know what people have been saying that about the Star Wars as well, haven't they? Because you've got like a female character in the lead, and the black guy as well. So it's like, oh, that's tokenism.
Yeah, but I mean,
But I mean,
you have to
is
be
it?
careful.
Well,
it's
You
kind
have
of-
to be careful whether it's okay, because it's a very fine line.
Yeah, I don't understand where the line is.
Well, that's where.
Sometimes it sounds like the line is putting anybody in is token.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, what other way? You got to put somebody in. So
But the line is, if you have whoever the best actor or the best actor to portray that character,
yeah.
whether it's black or white, man or woman, and that actually works, great. Doesn't matter the origin, doesn't matter the accent, doesn't matter the color, sexual orientation, fine.
Yeah,
But when you get a black actor portraying a character that was traditionally white and suddenly perhaps it's not the best of the actors to do it, then you have this line that suddenly some people might see as a token. I don't think they should be shoehorned. I understand. I mean, I'm the first one for multi-ethnicity and to have all these varieties, but give them what is right, I think, for example, there's big characters in the Marvel Universe who are black and only till very recent have been used. And just there. We always had Luke Cage, we always had Black Panther, for example.
Storm.
A Storm. And they never had the role that they had in the comics in the 70s and in the 80s. We're in 2017 now.
And Falcon.
Or Falcon, for example, Yeah, you're seeing in the
It's a
field,
bit.
you are seeing it there, or, with War Machine or
Yeah.
Rhodey in the Iron Man, you're seeing it's coming there. They didn't have to get another character and change it because it was there. Give it the importance that character. It was a black, it was a black character. I was surprised that it took so long to bring Black Panther. To me, Black Panther was one of the main characters, and it always should be there because.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Afro-American, but I would imagine Afro-American people reading the first appearance of Black Panther, and he was a prince of a country, and the king of a country, and a technology guy, and they kick ass. and it was kind of always living. It's only till recently it's been in a film.
And Blade.
Yeah,
It was the
and
first
suddenly,
proper-
yeah, you
the
got all
first
these
proper
characters.
films that they made,
They
didn't
deserve more because and this is not tokenism. They are not tokens. They are characters that are good
In their own
professionals.
right,
They have good series. They have good comics being portrayed, and they should be used. Fair enough. It's sometimes it's when they start to change things just for the sake of changing, it doesn't work for me, to be honest. Okay, there's people who complain when they did Heimdall and he was suddenly in the films in Thor, he's black.
Yeah.
Heimdall.
Heimdall, the god that guards the gateway to Asgard.
Oh, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was the best actor for that point. I thought he was really good. And he was the best actor
I
for it.
assume he's white in.
In the comics he is, but in mythology they could
Because
change
it's
their
Scandinavian.
colour. They could change their colour, they could change their gender, and they could change their species, so no one brings that up.
Yeah.
They could do anything they wanted in
Idris Elba was
mythology.
saying, wait a second, you're making a big hoo-ha because Heimdall now is black. You are talking about Scandinavian gods or extraterrestrial people from another dimension who are the ones who inspire the Scandinavian mythology. And we're talking about superheroes and people who fight with a big hammer, etc., etc. But you pointed out at me because I'm black.
And
Fair
also,
enough.
in mythology, Heimdall had 7 mothers. It was 7 or 9 mothers. Don't ask how.
Oh, I was just
No one complains about that.
So yeah, it's a difficult.
Yeah, it could be a quagmire, can't it?
Yeah.
So what is it based on? Whether the actor is good enough?
Well, for example,
No, Heimdall was good.
Yeah.
You were okay with that one.
yeah.
But then other ones,
Well, I didn't
Don't
feel,
go
for
down
example,
somewhere.
to do the Fantastic Four
yeah.
and to put the actor they put for the Fantastic Four. It didn't work for me. It didn't work either. They put Jessica
Alicia.
Alba. Because
No?
when the original
Oh my god.
Didn't that work?
That worked for me.
That worked.
no, it didn't work for me at all. They put Jessica Alba.
She tends to work.
Wow. She does work.
But anyway, digress. Superman Red Son. This is probably one of the best comics that Mark Millar has written. This is a kind of a
modern. Is that what's his face? The Glaswegian artist. What's his face? Quick, with a Q.
and this is
No,
no, it's not Frank White. No,
it's not Frank White, no.
it's Dave Johnson. In this one, imagine Superman, instead of growing up in the United States, in the USSR.
Oh, so the thing lands in Russia.
Yeah. So
Oh.
it's an alternative view
Right.
to it. So very interesting. Mark Millar, so we know a little bit of Mark Millar. He's always been a proclaimed socialist here in Scotland. People know that, but certainly puts a lot of views in this comic. And yeah, it's actually really good.
Don't do
It's-
too bad for a socialist.
It's really good. Yeah,
Exactly. Like
exactly.
pictures his comics. with
Exactly.
villains.
They do well, you know.
That's
Being
like
a
Chinese communism.
Yeah, he's a huge capitalist from that point of view. But never mind, that's something to talk about it. Another one of the classics
That's a big boy.
is
It's like
Green
an old-fashioned
Lantern,
telephone
Green Lantern, Green Arrow,
that they used to do strength tests for.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and this is by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. And in this collection, they pair this unlikely odd couple where you have a urban hero like Green Arrow and a cosmic hero like Green Lantern. How is this going to work? Because you think, well, this is not possible to work in any way. So then goes to outer space. It's more kind of a road trip through the United States, the America of that time, and they touch a lot of issues from drugs to social issues, xenophobia, racism, corruption. There's many things here, and it's still a superhero comic, and it's really enjoyable. and it's really, really well done. This is a classic.
Early 70s?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm correct, around about 74
So-
or something like that.
The arrow part doesn't spoil the lantern part.
No, not at all.
So it's like a dialogue between the two, more or less. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, there's
Observing
no
stuff.
always see eye to eye,
Right.
both of them, and there's always up and downs as everything else. But it's very interesting how it's portrayed in a superhero comics in the 70s, published by DC. I don't see DC publishing something like that nowadays with the main
That's
character.
because the only people who were taking notice were comic readers. That's it.
You know,
So comic
But-
readers were being
But
informed and having
again,
a-
Giuseppe, we're talking about when DC and Marvel, they sold millions of copies.
Yeah, but it was only to avid comic readers. So it
No,
wasn't.
not back then. Back
No,
then they
it's
were
never.
on sale in newsagents everywhere.
Yeah.
Any shops.
Yeah, but it was viewed as, the adults didn't really take
No, not
notice of it.
adults.
That's what I
Well,
mean. So
well,
it was.
Maybe
It
some
wasn't.
other collectors.
It wasn't. If Marvel or DC wrote a particularly risque story now, it'd get jumped on, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas
see
then
what you mean.
it was like
No one was paying
Yeah.
attention.
it was the
But-
comic world.
Yeah.
and
This is
that
a
was,
conversation I had with Dave years ago.
Uh-huh.
Because we were saying, oh, well, now the comic is back and it's getting big, and we were making a point of that, well, it's a better time for the comic. And I said,
like vinyl.
from the point of view of graphic novels and to be exposed in bookshelves, and from the cultural point of view that is respected, yes, but as readers, as comic readers, we don't have
Yeah.
that amount of comic readers. Then there was a big amount of comic readers, but we didn't have internet or video
Yeah.
games, other forms of entertainment. That was a form of entertainment,
Yeah.
the comics that then at that time. It wasn't perhaps respected as an art, whereas now it's perhaps respected a little bit more as an art. But, there is that, we've gained the respect, but we are not have as many readers as then.
Yeah.
Is it good? Well, it depends how it does work for you. But yeah, we're going to that. But yeah, that's important. For example, this is one of the pages from the book, and there's a discussion where Green Arrow and Green Lantern are there in the city, and this old man, this American old man, or Afro-American old man, a black guy, he says, I've been reading about you, how you work for the Blueskins. And he's talking about Hal Jordan and with his Green Lantern. His bosses are blue.
Oh, the blues.
They're actually blue. Yeah, they are
The,
blue.
what they call the
Guardians.
the Guardians.
They are blue. They are
Yeah,
Blueskins.
yeah, yeah.
So I've been reading about
The
you,
Blueskins.
how you work for the Blueskins, and how on a planet someplace you help out the orange skins, and you done considerably well for the purple skins. Only their skins you never bother with. The black skins, I want to know how come. Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern. And then Hal Jordan says, I can't. So that is just 3 panels.
That's fantastic.
The famous 3 panels.
They're famous 3 panels. And this is just amazing. So this is a...
Propaganda? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
So this is just, and we're talking about, there's many other issues going on, but this is a really, really big one.
Yeah.
And the last but not least from my pile is Give Me Liberty by Frank Miller and Dave Gibbons. This is a comic that is often, I feel, forgotten when we're talking about Frank Miller comics or Dave Gibbons comics, because we're talking about Frank Miller, I always say, oh yeah, Frank Miller, Sin City, 300, Batman Dark Knight, Daredevil, we always kind of forget about this. And with Dave Gibbons, we always think, Watchmen. Well, he's done all the many things, but this is a
Was
really
this before or after Watchmen?
After.
This is after Watchmen. This is a huge critique on the politics and society of United States by Frank Miller. And in this critique, we go over everything from social issues to the nanny state to, war, defense, drugs, defiling political views, democracy. There's lots of things going on in this. It's science fiction story, but some of the things are very blatant and very, very in your face. Others are more subtle, but it's something I recommend. It's really, really good. Right, you.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I've
Mike.
got a small selection with me.
Mhm.
It's a combination of graphic novels, traditional graphic novels, and some actual political satire in here as well. First one I brought is Marvel's Siege. Some of you might know that when, after Ragnarok, Thor came back and he found all his Asgardian fellows, and they set up a colony in Oklahoma. The police came, the local police, not the national police, a couple of hillbilly police came over to have a word with Thor and saying that it's on US territory, and Thor managed to elevate the entire territory several meters off the ground, so it was no longer part of US jurisdiction.
Was it not in US airspace?
That's an iffy one. There's a lot of iffy things that you don't argue with Thor about.
Oh, okay.
And there were moments when he found out about Tony Stark's involvement in Civil War and cloning a murderous, insane Thor clone. So he did threaten Tony Stark, and especially with the threat of downing the aircrafts with bolts of thunder and lightning. But that's on another volume. But this is a siege. And you'll notice in the cover, there's a Norman Osborn here. He's a very successful politician, echoing Lex Luthor becoming President of the United States in a sort of interesting manner. Lex Luthor and Norman Osborn, businessmen becoming high up in the political world.
No,
Who
where
would
have
have
I
thought
heard
that?
that before?
But there's another interesting thing here, because Norman Osborn, of course, is the Green Goblin, and he's talking to himself, the Green Goblin self, and he has a spin doctor, not the Green Goblin, but Loki, who's pretty much enjoying the banter between the other villains. I mean, he's basically immune from attack from all of them, so he's sitting back with a big smirk on his face. He's like an unelected spin doctor who's putting ideas into Norman Osborn, and he's basically in control of the whole scenario until a point when one of the other characters, and I don't want to have any spoilers in here, but there is an evil character in this who's stronger than even Loki. And during the Battle of Asgard, Thor must fight this individual, but he can't do it alone. Asgard itself does fall, and there's echoes of events that have happened in the past where there's a big clean-up. There's lots of casualties. A lot of main characters also end up getting killed. Spoiler alert, one of them is Ares, who's an Olympian god who's almost as strong as Thor is. So there's a lot of political issues as in territory and, again, differences. Lots of differences, even a little bit of jealousy, I think, because in some of the newer Thor stories, there's a lot of contrast between the locals and the Asgardians, and there's funny moments when they're brought together in community halls and you instantly spot who's who. Another one I
Bring
brought...
them together in a beer
Suicide
keller.
Squad. Yes.
That would have been a better community.
Suicide Squad.
This is the original Suicide Squad. This is brilliant. And one of the stories here, it's tells you the story of the main lady. Well, you'll remember in the film there was an African American lady.
Amanda Waller.
Yes, she is basically the main. In a way, she's the main villain or villainess. She's the main character, and this explains to you her rise in politics and how she had the idea of forming the Suicide Squad. But the reason why I brought this up isn't because of the politics of the character. It's because there's a story, a mission to Moscow, in which several of the Suicide Squad are sent into the USSR. And I have a suspicion that all of us were born in the Cold War era. So it's a long story. It's about 4 or 5 issues long. So, oh, you can still be accepted if you want.
In, I think.
Roughly, yeah.
Yep. Well, this was written at the end of the Cold War, so
He got it after the radiation.
there was still a Soviet Union when this story was released. So as a group of them go across there to get another character who, in the end, doesn't really want to go but is forced along. They kind of botch a lot of their operations up. There's an interesting addition that none other than the Penguin from Batman is also in here.
I saw the name.
Yeah.
He's actually, interesting point is he's actually the planner, but he's not trusted. And one of the main characters, I forget his name, but he says, I'd have more faith in the plan if the planner had a stake in it, meaning the Penguin has to go along because his life is at risk, so he's going to make the plan work. So he's basically the planner. But there's all sorts of issues. There's a moment when the Suicide Squad capture some hostages who are all American tourists. And the Penguin and Deadpool decide that the only way to sort them out is basically to kill them all. But of course they're saved by one of the other founders who tries to hold them until the other lot can get away in time. It's I don't want to give away too much, but it's definitely worth a read if you guys.
It's good fun.
Did you read that at the time, Mike?
No, I read it very recently.
Right, yeah.
I read it at the time.
Yeah.
I read it at the time.
So what was it? Late 80s again?
Mid-80s.
Late 80s, kind of.
Because
Late
I remember
90s,
they did a
early
crossover with Justice League.
That's right, yes.
And that was late 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah. I read it for about 20 or 30 issues.
Yeah.
And John Ostrander was the writer, and I always thought he was a good comic book writer for that sort of genre. I always thought it was really good.
Luke McDonald, he's alright, isn't he?
He was
did
alright.
Iron Man.
Yeah, I did prefer him in Suicide Squad than Iron Man. Always did.
There's Darkseid.
But yeah, I always liked the idea they were expendable. There was always the manipulation by Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
How
you don't feel guilty if these guys get killed.
Yeah. But as the series was going along, you had your favorite guys in the Suicide Squad that you didn't want to see killed. And then that kind of made you,
Yeah.
So was the film like this?
Very loosely. There wasn't
Very
enough
loosely.
explained in the film. And Captain
And
Boomerang is not as bad a villain in the film as he is in this book. He actually allows one of his colleagues to get killed.
Guess what? He's white. Because always been white, but suddenly the film is black.
Who?
But Bronze Tiger, who is
did that work for you?
No, because Bronze Tiger, who is the co-leader of the Suicide Squad, never appeared. And he's a black guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So there you are.
So there is a character that...
So they had a black guy that they never used.
there.
And
He's
they
not
didn't-
so much a villain, Bronze Tiger, in this. He's more like the hero, but he's there to keep the other guys in check. He's like an anti-hero.
Bronze Tiger is in the comics, as it was there, it was a far more interesting character than Deadshot.
Yeah.
So is
Far more interesting, more depth into
Yeah.
it. There
He's
was
more
a
like Rick
backstory,
Flag's
there
in
was
there, though.
something in
In
it.
fact, it is Flag who tells the Penguin that he has more faith if the
Because
plan is-
Deadshot was just a secondary
Yeah.
villain, and you appear maybe in a Batman comic here and there, that's it. So yeah,
I guess he makes a better action figure.
It's okay.
I don't know. Suppose it's a matter of sale stuff. Anyway, next.
Yes, the next one is a very large graphic novel about Martin Luther King. And you'll notice there's a lot of different art styles.
Uchi Anderson, yeah.
Yep. I have to confess, I haven't read all this yet. So I can't tell you how close this is up to real life. And I find out lots of different facts about the character, about the living, the former Martin Luther King.
Why? Is everything in there supposed to be strictly true and nothing's
I
embellished?
believe
or
so, but
created
there
for
have
fiction?
been, because a lot of factual films based on reality turn out to be completely different to reality. I'm kind of hesitant until I get through the story itself. But it's a very good way of showing how different styles of artwork can be used in all the same volume.
I remember when that was coming out, he did like Uchi Anderson, he did issue 1 and 2 maybe, and then there was like years and years went by, and it was like, can you please finish this kind of thing? And you think, well, my art style's totally changed, you know, and he said, just use your new art style then, just get it finished, you know? And you're saying it looks, it does look good.
Well, here's one I have read. This is Constantine, the very first Constantine.
Yes.
And as you said previously, graphic novels being set during Thatcherite times.
Nice.
Yeah.
A lot of the demons here are based on Thatcher yuppies.
Uh-huh.
It was much more political than the film was.
Yeah.
The style is brilliant. In fact, Maggie Thatcher gets here we go. She gets portrayed in this on television in hell. They're watching her. There's a lot of humour added in here. Lots of yuppies. Brilliant quotes. Fantastic quotes, I think. The main yuppie is an enormous bloated demon who Constantine has to do a seance to get to see him because he's running from other yuppie demons who he's just vandalised their property. And they're chasing him throughout London to get vengeance on him. I love the humour. There's a good bit when he summons Blathox, bladder of bile, and all of a sudden one of his assistants comes up, and Constantine says, "Who the hell are you? I called for Lord of Flatulence, not one of his discharges." There are so many brilliant things in this graphic novel. There's also references to war, and to, interestingly enough, my favourite Constantine character is a demon called Nergal. When he makes a real proper appearance, there's even a reference to the NHS when he says, "I know the health service is in bad shape, but recruiting demon doctors must be an all-time low," when he wakes up and sees this by his hospital bed.
Yeah.
There's also bits about racism and homophobia in here, which demons love. They try and encourage it. There's also football violence as well. There's a group of 4 skinheads, and Constantine manages to beat them because Nergal merges them into one horrific human with 4 heads. 2 of the heads support Arsenal and 2 of the heads support Chelsea, so his way of beating them is to get 2 of them to fight each other, and because they're in the same body, they just pummel each other senseless.
Oh, he merges the 4
Yeah.
hooligans together.
And it's also one of those comics where one of the main characters is a voodoo doctor, a real villain called Papa Midnight, but when the film came out, Papa Midnight turned out to be more of a hero. He was nowhere near as sinister as what he is in there. And here he has no hesitation about sacrificing his friends. This is Papa Midnight.
Yeah.
He's very intimidating and will happily kill you if you are in his way, or if you are in his way of amusement. Another one here is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where, like the Suicide Squad, they get a group of extraordinary heroes and get them to do missions. One of the main reasons I chose this is because one of the supporting characters who's often forgotten is a minister for the government called Campion Bond, who is James Bond's grandfather. This is him here, the rather overweight guy. He's safely on the sidelines. He can do almost anything he wants, and the other characters are the ones that are taking all the hits. I brought the first one along. I've got the second one along where, near the end of it, and this is a spoiler alert, the Martians come over, and Campion Bond and some scientists, namely Dr. Moreau, have devised something that can destroy Martians. They've hit Martians with all they can. Nuclear bomb, well, not nuclear, but all sorts of bombs. Nothing can beat them. And then Dr. Moreau gives a canister. Campion Bond and the government give the word to use it, and it completely destroys them. And it turns out to be a mixture of various bacteria and anthrax, and destroys the Martians. And Campion Bond, in his government way, says, officially, the germs killed off the Martians. And then he said, what about the people that the germs have killed? And we'll say, yep, the Martians killed them. So it was a Victorian cover-up.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's,
Have you not read that?
I have, but I'd forgotten that
It's a very
kind
nice
of
little
intricacy.
throwaway bit.
Yeah.
It's like in one panel
Yeah.
or something.
Now, when we talk about politics in cartoons, we often think of this. I brought along Private Eyes, A Cartoon History, and it is full of cartoons, real political ones where they're making fun of politics and politicians. Oh yeah, the notorious one
at St Maggie's.
There's some really funny cartoons in here.
Yeah.
Oh, she was gold to comedians at the time.
And anyone else.
Yep. So I'll pop that there. Another style of graphic novel, another political one. This was a series of sort of graphic novels, introduction to subjects. And this was about Malcolm X, and you open it up and you see he uses graphics to emphasise a lot of the things that happen. Sometimes it's photos that have been retouched. Other times it's merging different photos in with each other with original art. A lot of political themed, it does look a bit like him. A lot of political themed pictures alongside quotes and various comments. These books are still on sale in the shops, but this was one of the first ones I came across, and I've had this since about 1994, 95. And it really gets you looking through
the period that it was published?
Yeah. But as for Malcolm X himself, he died in 1965, so his life's basically covered, although in recent documentaries they ask what would he have made of today, which is quite an interesting thing. But on a more light-hearted note, this is an Is No Good novel. And
Is No Good.
They made a cartoon series of him. It's by, is it the same guy who did Tintin? Or Asterix? I think the same guy who did Asterix, I think.
Goscinny.
Oh yeah.
And
You know, I've never seen anything else that they've done. I thought that was their life work, Asterix.
oh, this is actually quite funny, but this is politics in a different way. This is the main character's a villain, and in the cartoon they decided to make it. Is No Good wanted to be the Sultan instead of the Sultan. Whereas in here he wants to be the Caliph instead of the Caliph.
Yeah.
But they decided for that it's a little bit too controversial because that's a religious figure. So they didn't want him taking over a religious figure, so they made it the Sultan's a little bit better. But his position as Grand Vizier, that's basically Prime Minister. So he's quite high up without having to interfere with anyone else. But he's trying all these nasty tricks so he can get one up, so he can make his way up in politics. He's a ruthless, rotten little character, but he's really funny. And in this one, he's trying to get this lady to, shall we say, entice the Caliph and get his way up into power. You know, we look at that one later.
It's very good. It's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah. Goscinny is the writer, and he's the same writer as Asterix. And Tabari is the artist. But it's really good. It's not good. Because I remember reading there is no good stories in Spain. And in Spain they say the Caliph.
Yeah.
The Califa. Quiero ser el Califa, el lugar del Califa. And it always would go wrong. He would try everything so hard and it was come back to the first point. Always.
And this is translated as well.
Yep.
Euro books.
There are several different ones of Is No Good. He never made as many as some of the other ones, but they are really enjoyable. And the cartoon series is good as well. You actually end up supporting a character who is basically there to be hated.
Well, yeah, but that's the story. Is he's so funny, but
and fails by default.
He fails incredibly.
That's good as well. You can resonate with that, can't you?
Well, just the
And
name
get-
itself
it helps
is
you
no
get
good.
back.
But the last one on my list, and I did bring along plenty of private eye issues for you guys to look at, but the last one on the list is Batman Earth 1. And politics-wise, Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, is trying to become the mayor. So he's in an election, he's trying to run for the mayor. His opponent, however, I shall quote, I read up on your opponent, sounds like a questionable character. And it's none other than Mayor Cobblepot, because he does become mayor by killing Thomas Wayne, getting rid of his main rival. Now, this is very similar to the Gotham series, but it's it's done a lot more, I'd say, a lot more realistically than Gotham has been portrayed. Batman gets hurt. Batman's not the professional he is. His suit is not good enough. Alfred is there to help him, and there's tension between the two because Alfred is a former war hero, and he finds out that the young man he's looking after is trying to become a vigilante, even though he could lay back, sit on his fortune, maybe even try to become mayor himself. And there's even a fist fight between the two in this novel. The Penguin at the end, his activities are found out. I don't really want to spoil too much for you guys, so I'm not going to say too much of what happens at the end. But it's the fact that you've got a real villain, much more nastier than is no good. He becomes the mayor, he becomes powerful. Politically, he's very strong. And the people he killed, even though the person he killed was a really rich and powerful person, he just swept them aside. He's never been punished for it. And then there's a confrontation between him and Batman at the end. And of course, Batman he's an amateur Batman. The Penguin pulls out an umbrella, and the first thing Batman says is, "You're going to stop me with a..." And before he can finish his sentence, he's been impaled by an umbrella. And his suit is not bulletproof or anything like that. He's genuinely been impaled.
Impaled?
Yes, with a very long spike, with lots of blood. He
that's what impaling
He does pull out the umbrella and starts to beat Batman senseless, but I'm not saying anything else. It's quite heavy because some of his employees are murderers and killers themselves, but they're being paid for by Cobblepot's mayor salary. So basically, they're civil servants themselves. So it is actually quite brutal. There is a sequel in which the Riddler is the main antagonist, and he turns out to be a former employee of Mayor Cobblepot. I've not read the sequel, but a lot of this is the political scene of the run-up to the mayor elections. So in a way, yes, it's another politics graphic novel.
And Thomas Wayne is alive.
Yes, but not until Cobblepot gets to him. Although there are revelations in there that Cobblepot is not the only one, so there's a mystery at the end. Yes, there's a scene. Spoiler alert! A scene where I think they'll get edited out possibly.
It's alright.
There's we find out that Cobblepot's not the only player in town who's capable of murdering candidates for mayoral elections. He's just the most prominent. So there's all sorts of plot twists in there. So that's my list.
Cheers.
Very good. Very, very good. Amazing.
Have a look at any ones you want to have a peek at.
We'll do it after, I think.
I think if it comes to politics, we've got to mention Pat Mills.
I was half tempted to bring my Judge Dredd along.
Have you...
Thinking of Charlie's War.
Oh, yeah.
That was very political.
Yeah.
Look at the First
Yeah,
World
yeah.
War.
Hearing about that.
Yeah, I think
Mine
that's,
actually just speak for themselves.
I agree with you on that one, yeah.
Castro and Che. I'm not going to say much else because everybody just needs to
Who are they?
read them. Who are they? Everybody just needs to read them.
Yeah, these really strange. I think they're like superheroes. I don't know.
Right,
Really know.
yeah.
The beard is a disguise.
You know, I think there's a. I don't think a lot of people really know.
What Castro did for Cuba.
I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Castro.
Castro,
Full stop.
right.
I think
Yeah,
a lot
because
of-
he's more of the
he's more of the
icon,
figurehead.
isn't he?
Yeah,
The,
people are
the good
more
looking.
inclined to read up on Che. That's what drew me to the whole picture in general was his imagery to eventually actually go out and seek it out and find out what was behind all of it. It's all very interesting. I like to see where they came from and everything as well. It's a big influence on
made them who they are, kind of thing. And it's I think everybody would definitely benefit from reading Castro and Che. There's loads of different ones of Che, though. This is just the one by Spain Rodriguez.
Spiegelman likes it though, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. I think this is the best one though.
I bet
I've read a couple of different ones. I think this is the best representation and the best summation. Because it's not really that big when you look at it compared to Castro.
Yeah.
And okay, shorter life, yes, but at the same point,
Could easily be just as thick, yeah.
That's the Castro cover. What year's cover? Is the origin or cover still up to?
No, admittedly, I've only read. There's like a middle
Cover still
part
now.
I've read, but I'm pretty
It's
sure
an
it
eight
covers.
look here. The cover still now.
It covers right up until now.
Yeah. So that's the thing about Castro. He is as a revolutionary,
Mm.
a communist, but end up as a dictator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he went from one extreme to the other.
Mm.
So there you are.
If you want
It's
to,
an interesting.
if you want to see a film of early Che Guevara, I would recommend The Motorcycle Diaries.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a really good film actually.
I would also recommend the 2-part Benicio del Toro's Che.
I haven't seen that one yet. I want to watch it.
That's
See.
utterly incredible.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Right.
Plays Che. It's
Oh yeah.
it's kind of it kind of follows on sort of directly after Motorcycle Diaries. If you watch Motorcycle Diaries and then watch that, it's like watching a 3-parter. It's great. And the only other one I was going to mention was the one we spoke about before, which was March.
March. Oh yes, March.
Yeah.
Yep.
Senator John Lewis is March.
Who? John Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, I thought of the department store first.
It's not a department
I'm
store here in the UK. No.
I'm not
Is
very
this
good
about-
at,
is
I'm
this
not very good
about,
at explaining things, but it's mainly about
not
March
Oklahoma.
at Selma.
Oh no, it's not about the flooding in New Orleans. It's not that.
No.
Right.
It's
That's
again
before that.
connected to Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
Right.
in the March at Selma.
Oh, okay.
But it goes through. It's like two kids, a woman and her 2 kids go to visit John Lewis, and he tells them the story, effectively, of his life and where he came from and how he ended up with Dr. King and everything.
Right.
But it's like 3 books now or something like
It's,
that.
it's 3 out now.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's only the first one that I've read. I've not read the second or the third one yet, but it's very well put together. I mean, the art is fantastic, and the story's just so compelling to sit through and read. You can just keep going and keep going and keep going. It's one of them you kind of go read it for 2 minutes and you're stuck on it for the next 5 hours.
Right.
Not one to read just before going to bed because you won't sleep. Well, I didn't anyway. I ended up. I only went to go read like maybe the first couple of pages and ended up actually sitting up all night and finishing things. So yeah, still haven't got around to the second one yet. But I think that's mainly because I'm trying to set myself some time aside to actually do it. But yeah, have a look through, see what you think. It's great.
Yeah.
I know, I have it.
I know, but it's enjoyable.
I'm just saying, could have easily brought From Hell, but I didn't bother because of it's massive. Alan Moore.
That's massive. And
Yeah,
I
but I did bring others.
Oh, right, okay.
Obviously, with the politics of the monarchy and hiding things, I think he did a good job there. There's all kinds of stuff in From Hell.
Well, many Alan Moore comics, he touches many things.
There's a lot in
Politics
it,
one of them.
more than one read, definitely in there.
So like in Watchmen, which we haven't mentioned, but that's another one you could.
Watchmen, that was another one that I thought, obviously, that's a classic one. I'll get this out of the way because I brought this as well, not that. I brought V for Vendetta as well. Fantastic. Love it. Should be
a mastery.
curriculum reading.
Yes. Yes.
just as 1984 used to be,
Yes.
and isn't anymore. Transmetropolitan,
Yes.
Warren Ellis, Derek Robertson, the story of Spider Jerusalem, journalist on a one-man plus a couple of assistant crusade to truly drain the swamp, should we say, to bring it up to modern political lexicon. Who has read it?
I've read some of the volumes of Transmetropolitan.
No. Fantastic book.
I've read some of them.
Set in
Not
the
the whole
future.
collection, but yeah.
So, actually, when I was reading it, there was one of the first things that came to me were all the great ideas he had about future stuff in here, like even going into buildings and getting sprayed to be... all kinds of stuff in there. Anyway, Spider Jerusalem, what would he make of the media?
Yeah.
Okay, next. The usual, used to be textbook. I was surprised when I heard my niece said that they had to do it or they could do it at school. Even up to about, I think, as relatively recently as within the last 10 years.
Jeez.
Maybe it was just good old Catholic school that they're allowed to do it. But
we weren't allowed to do.
But I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah, we were not allowed to do comic books.
And I've got to admit, I've only read it once, and I've read it within the past 4 years. No, 4 years. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece of work. It doesn't really need, It's the book that... Is it the book that put Art Spiegelman on map? Was it his first book?
No.
No,
it's not his first
No,
book.
he'd had a big career before that, like in
Had he?
on underground comics.
Ah, okay, right.
That's
This was
mainstream.
The breakthrough to
Yeah.
the other side, right?
Yeah.
And I got...
He's laughing at me. Look at it. That's it.
Oh.
Oh no. Just.
And then a couple of books by
it's
Joe
lovely.
Sacco.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone read Palestine?
No.
So glad somebody brought it.
about it though.
Yeah.
A beautiful piece of work. I mean, I don't know how long it must have taken to draw this, but it's the research that goes into it. He spent time there, and this is his graphic diary of his time there, and it won best graphic novel and an Eisner Award, I think, the same year. It beat off Chris Ware and someone else at the same time. Someone else.
Look at Star Wars.
Is Chris Ware a dodgy?
No,
He likes Chris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did too.
I'm not sure I'd like to beat him off though.
Me neither.
So it's alright. You just look at your Star Wars comic.
But it got slated. Well, no, it didn't get slated. It obviously got slated by a few self-proclaimed Zionist organisations merely for the fact that it didn't portray all Palestinians as terrorists. And it's another one of them books that goes to prove that things aren't black or white. They're a lot more grey than anything else. Great book, Palestine. It was my first book that I read by him. And then I picked this one up when I was in Amsterdam a couple of years ago, because it was a Joe Sacco book called Bumpf. I liked the title. I like Joe Sacco.
Have you got that one before?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe when we did like a new, or what you're reading at the moment, or new arrivals.
Yeah.
As you can see, highly political from the front page with Nixon.
Just like the Watchmen.
Yeah.
My name is Madonna.
And inside, there's all kinds, because it's a lot more modern, a lot more recent than the Palestine book. It's obviously got hints of Guantanamo and stuff in it, I think, personally. But obviously, there's stuff to do with, that's a And now censored image, isn't it? The famous one from.
She's now a civil rights leader. The
Lao.
running through the streets.
She grew up to be a civil rights leader.
Really?
Yeah, she was in a documentary recently.
Obviously, Joe Sacco's in it. He always shows himself in it in his books. Like he's in Palestine as well.
Like a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah. There's some hefty swinging going on there. He just looks like a British major to me. Look at that.
Wow, that's some work.
So yeah, that's Joe Sacco for you. Playing his trade on Fantagraphics book. Bump Volume 1. Let's hope there'll be another Volume 2, won't be too long.
Good. David, any suggestions? You mentioned Parallels, which is a very valid.
Charlie's War.
Charlie's War is a very valid critique against the British government during the First World War.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
You read Charlie's War?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the library and get them all now.
It goes against the
narrative.
Yeah, it does in quite a big way. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it
so you
recent or?
Well, they've been doing collections of it over the last 10 years or so. But it was coming out in the 70s and 80s, I think. Maybe it was the 80s.
How much of it is there?
There's like 10 big hardback volumes.
And how was it published before? No, never.
It was in Battle. Remember Battle?
Oh, okay, right.
So it was in there every week.
So it was in Battle, and then they've extracted it from there and
put it all in these books. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And it's the story of Charlie's like an underage boy. Yeah.
So now it rings a bell. Now that you've said it was in Battle,
Yes.
I can remember reading Battle and maybe.
There you go.
Thanks.
But it was always. I keep thinking of the example of you know how you hear about people sleeping in the underground stations and the solidarity and all. And he would put in stuff that was like the police being sent because that was illegal. So the police were stopping them doing it, you know.
Right.
So it's always really
kind of
well
shining
researched.
a light,
yeah,
shining a bit of light on the myth of
what actually happened.
Right.
Yeah, you know. So it's a really good read.
Oh.
Maybe not a cheery one a lot of the time, but.
No, but.
And Pat Mills did a lot of stuff. I mean, that Crisis comic as well.
Oh, that was Pat Mills. Is he the guy who set up 2000 AD?
Yeah.
Right. And he's the Charlie's War guy.
He wrote that, yeah.
Oh, right.
And
I liked how he came across on that 2000 AD documentary.
Yeah.
Even if he did seem a bit kind of...
He came to Dundee a couple of years ago.
No.
Or should I say he came back to Dundee a couple of years ago.
Good as well.
Yeah, I think he's been a few times, yeah.
The artwork in the first one's incredible. I'm not sure if he manages to do that one panel a day because that'll take him quite a while.
In what?
In Palestine.
Oh, in part, yeah.
Yeah.
He did a First World War. It wasn't a comic as such. It was like a big pull-out thing, a big, huge bit of artwork.
Did it?
It was about the First World War.
Yeah,
it all kind of looked like that.
Joe Sacco?
Joe Sacco, yeah. It was at that level of detail.
Oh.
No,
What an
that was
artist.
that. Yeah, it's
That's
incredible.
fantastic.
Is that the one where you actually see the injuries from soldiers in the First World War? Because I've seen that one in the library.
I don't know.
I think you are meaning one of the
Is that one
Jacques Tardy.
Yeah.
First World War gets neglected when compared to the Second World War when it comes to being portrayed in comics, I think.
Mike, do you lend books or not?
Which ones do you want to have a look at?
Isn't it good?
There you
Can I
go.
read that? Thanks.
It's good.
Isn't
It's
it good?
it's very good actually.
It's so nice to see something else by the same. Well, by
It's
one
actually quite nice.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah,
sure. Are you sure? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
I'll have to see what this is about.
Oh, yeah, so anybody got anything new?
Yes, but I haven't brought it with me.
No,
so
that's
I'll
okay.
do that next time
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
same
bought a
here.
couple
I
of
wondered
things in
about
Barcelona. And
Okay.
Okay.
and in Minorca as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I've got bought a graphic novel.
So I bring a couple of things.
Anybody want to speak about it? Where they go?
I bought. People might remember when I brought the graphic novel made by Paco Roca, The Winter of the Artist.
Yeah.
I bought another book from him, another graphic novel called Wrinkles, which I know there's been a. As in it's been translated in English.
Yeah.
So I haven't read it yet, but I have it at home. So I bought that. It was a Christmas to me. I bought that in my own.
That's
a book.
That's in
bookshop.
in my wish list after we spoke about it.
So yeah, so I got that. So I'll bring that so you can have a wee look. Certainly, I'm afraid it's the Spanish version, so it's in Spanish. So.
Sorry.
But yeah, I'll bring that across. Certainly.
Cool.
What is that?
That is something.
Oh,
That is something
okay.
that my missus got me.
La historia del sexo.
The story of sex.
That's fabulous.
It's actually. Do you know what? I'm obviously not read it yet because I just got it for Christmas. Didn't even know it existed, but it looks fantastic. Going through it.
It does.
See.
Yeah.
It's the less.
Yeah, it says the little tagline at the bottom: "From apes to robots."
I'm glad it's a less chaotic read than
That tickles your fancy?
Yeah, I think so.
that Gibson book that she did with more Lost Girls.
Oh, aye. Yeah.
I struggle to read past one page without.
You said me one day I'm gonna get you Druna by Serpieri, and then you have
Yeah, well.
Hace calor.
a mucho calor.
Mucho.
I flicked through and she said she saw that it was funny, but it was also it looked really good as well. It wasn't just novelty, it's an actual story, it's an actual history of sex. Yeah, it was rather interesting. That's one of the best presents I got. Because it's just so left field. Like that's incredible. Going through everything, this jumper, socks, story of sex. What the fuck is that? Yeah, a graphic novel. Woo! Should stop me because it was only like 3 presents in. We had a couple other ones to open, and I'm sitting going, wait. It's like, come on, put it down.
The emphasis on the graphic.
I'll show you later. Move on swiftly.
Yeah. Well, last time quickly here about the Wes Anderson collection as well.
You're a big fan of Wes Anderson, aren't you?
Yes. All the behind the scenes and all his films. But it's such a good archive, so interesting pictures, and you get an actual description of each film and everything. It's just so good.
I suppose there had to be a book like that about it, didn't there?
Oh yeah. The only thing is, it doesn't have Grand Budapest Hotel in it, and they haven't done an updated version yet. But look at that, showing you all the sections of the ship.
Nice.
And Steve Zissou.
I've got a similar book, but it's about Ray Harryhausen.
Oh
My goodness.
Yep. It's fantastic. I'll bring that one in next time as
Stop
well.
motion king of the special effects.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll flick through. So
That's great.
Very good.
Yeah, Ray Harryhausen. That must be good. Yeah.
I got 3 books by him, and they're all big, thick hardback books. They're all written when he was alive. They say that some of the ones that were released after were just cashing in on his name, the legend.
Sorry, you were cut off, David. What were you saying?
Yeah, a present I got was Munch, graphic novel called Munch,
All right. Okay.
about the artist. I've
right.
not read it yet. I mean, I wasn't even aware of it. Didn't ask for it. I just got it as a surprise present. So it looks really good.
It's
though.
much the Scream artist.
Yeah. I just
Nice.
had a flick through. It looks good. It's one of these self-made hero books. You know that publisher.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to reading that.
Well, I got the latest Godzilla graphic novel. I haven't read it yet, though. It's unlike Godzilla in Hell. This isn't a standalone. It's the beginning of several volumes. So I'm hoping it's as good as the previous 6 volume I read, which brings all the classic monsters battling with each other.
Nice.
But I also got the first 2 volumes of Dr. Slump, and I've read the first one, and I'm more than halfway through reading the second one. And it was Dr. Slump was written and drawn by Akira Toriyama, who is responsible for drawing and writing the Dragon Ball series.
Ah.
And Dr. Slump was his big break. He'd done that in 1980, and from then on he became a famous manga artist. It's very light humoured. It's very silly, but in a funny way, a good funny way, light-hearted. And the main character is a robot girl who's meant to be the perfect robot girl, but unlike Small Wonder, this is a much more dirty-minded creator. So when the doctor is putting her head onto her body, she says things like, "Why is my chest flat?" And she asks why she doesn't have any private parts, and she wants to know what it's like to go and poo. So it's got some interesting things in it. Plus, there's lots of talking dinosaurs that climb trees, and lots of things with wings that fly and can speak English, or whatever language they're translated into. It's really fun, and it's a very good cheer up story. So I do highly recommend Dr. Slump if any of you want to read something that's mature and silly at the same time.
I've watched the cartoons in the 90s. They were in one of the channels in Spain, and they were absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
I mean,
Never even heard of it.
well, if you are watching now Adventure Time or I don't know, Gumball, Adventure of Gumball, or the other comics like that, you should watch Dr. Slump, which was ahead of its time.
Yeah, the original.
The original.
Doctor what?
Slump.
Oh, Slump.
It's like Slump to Doctor.
Absolutely hilarious, and yeah, there's a lot of silliness going on all the time. It's just you can't stop. You have to laugh.
One of the main themes is that the robot, as Arlie, I never pronounce it. Arali. She's super strong, super powerful, but she's also extremely short-sighted. So she has a very thick pair of glasses on her, which is an interesting thing to give her. So she's often pointing at the main characters. She'll say something like "gorilla" to her creator, and then you'll put the glasses on, and she'll think he's even worse.
Yeah, and I remember like. In the cartoon, there used to be even the crows flying across the screen, like an
crow wearing a hat.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a crow, I'm a crow, I'm a crow, flying across the screen. I mean, a stupid thing just like that. It would just, you would laugh because it was just.
Yeah. Well, one of the crows says something silly, and one of the main characters, the lassie whose name I forget, not Arali, but one of the human ones. She gets this big exclamation mark right above her head. She grabs the exclamation mark and knocks the crow out of the air. And the crow says, "This is a really silly manga."
It's completely like that. Yeah, it breaks the fourth wall constantly, and
the references to "this is my chapter" or I'm only supposed to be in one panel.
Stuff like that.
So quick news things. Hugh Jackman is apparently, not surprisingly, having second thoughts about giving up the Wolverine role. After having filmed Logan and had seen Deadpool and everything, he's now sitting going, this maybe isn't the right time to give it up yet.
Ooh. Okay.
So, nobody saw that coming.
Well, I think he's a good Wolverine, but the only thing people really get him on is that he's about 6 foot tall rather than Wolverine's 5'3".
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, he's 6'2" and
6'2".
yes, he's 6'2".
1 inch shorter than Muhammad Ali and George
But
Foreman.
he's 6'2", thin, and he used to be a musical actor.
Yeah.
That's his main thing. He can sing and dance fantastically well. It's really good, and then he goes all hairy and nasty, and he becomes Wolverine, you know. So that shows you he's a really good actor. Versatile, exactly.
I do like
and he's an
him in
Australian,
that.
you know.
Yeah.
He's Australian, but he's pretending to be Canadian, so there you are.
The other ones were, we were speaking about Love and Rockets before. There is one of those collected editions, like the ones that I got from Forbidden Planet. There's a new one coming out, Beyond Palomar, which will have the stories Poison River, and Love and Rockets X.
The Rodney King one.
Yeah. So that's to be released in March through Fantagraphics. But it'll be one of those big collection ones, so that's worth a check out. Those Wonder Woman stamps have came out. They're available.
Yeah, I've got
Wonder Woman.
Did you get them?
I did. I
Nice.
bought them.
Are you going to use it?
Nice.
No,
Oh,
I just stuck them on the stamp album.
So,
It's not like the Hammer of Thor she's got.
They're cool, man. They're really nice.
so that's Cliff Chang.
I just bought single ones. You know, I didn't buy a sheet.
You didn't buy a
it's
sheet?
Four single ones. Yeah.
Cool.
I got 2 stamp sets for Christmas. One of the Mr. Men, and the other one, sort of done in a graphic novel, the history of the Great Fire of London.
Yes.
Nice.
Did you see that? They were excellent.
And I think John Higgins drew that.
Is he?
I think he did. Yeah. Good artist.
They are brilliant.
And one last thing, because we are going to talk about it because David goes on, is the new Blade Runner trailer.
No, this is
Just the teaser trailer.
Really?
What's wrong? Is it just because...
You didn't do Blade Runner films. It's already been done.
Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem.
Your face.
I just can't.
I know.
I can't put it into words. The first one just means too much to me.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, I'm never gonna. It's too much. Oh yeah.
They're trying to keep it all in the same vein.
It's the way he's got the same coat on. I'm like, nah, come on. Going into the same building, kinda. No. And this, when he went on the piano, I thought,
You did your job once.
Yes, I mean, even that pisses me off. And I'm not that heavily invested.
It's good.
here he comes. Same kind of pose from the other movie.
Things were simpler then.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I haven't seen it yet.
I say no.
No.
No. Okay.
Far too iconic.
That might actually be the first film that I'm not even going to watch that.
Bye guys.
Right, cheers!
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Cheers for that.
Go on and take it off. You gotta shake it off, baby, for me. Come on and break me off. 'Cause
If you'd like to contact us, send us an email at thatcomicsmell@gmail.com or at thatcomicsmell on Twitter. Thanks for listening.
take it off.